transportation and the future of getting from here to there. I'm Hope King.
And I'm Tim Stenevec. We have a huge show on tap, including Tesla's record day for all the wrong reasons. We're going to take a deep dive into why the electric vehicle giant is in a tailspin, at least today.
At least today, exactly. But first, a nightmare at sea for thousands of people aboard a Princess cruise ship. The company quarantining 3,700 passengers and crew members on a cruise ship in Yokohama, Japan, after 10 had tested positive for the coronavirus. Now the 10 confirmed cases will be brought ashore for treatment in Japan, while the ship will remain in quarantine for at least 14 days. So
this is like
of course,
a movie.
This, of course, affecting not only the cruise industry, but a lot of other industries. We'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you can see that this is a very serious situation, and they are, you know, when they were found, right, it was offshore here at this point. You can see shares here of Carnival Corp is up about 1.5% here on the day, but down about 0.25%.
That's right. And over the last month, shares of Carnival down about 8.6%. We have seen the cruise industry take a hit in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak for this reason, especially cruise companies that have ships that do routes around China. I mean, it's been a huge growth market for cruises.
Yep.
But just from an operations perspective, can you just imagine going on vacation and being in a situation like this?
No, I can't.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. I think for those who have not been on cruises, this is not a great story to be thinking about. Me neither. This is not good evidence there being contained and being confined to this one location. As I mentioned, it's impacting here more than just cruise and the cruise industry. There are lots of ramifications here worldwide when it comes to travel, which is now in a state of flux. All three major U.S. commercial airlines have halted flights to mainland China, and close to a dozen international carriers have also suspended service to the country. Brian Summers is a senior aviation business editor at Skift. Brian, it's always great to see you here on the show. How would you describe right now the sentiment among these major airlines with respect to what's happening with the coronavirus?
Well, for the U.S. carriers, the sentiment is not very good. We've been seeing the U.S. airlines bit by bit cancel more and more flights to China. So first they started with just canceling some flights, and then they said they were going to cancel all of their flights, but only to mainland China. And we saw something interesting yesterday. We saw American Airlines and United Airlines come out and say it's not just mainland China, it is Hong Kong as well. So none of the U.S. airlines are going to be flying to Shanghai, Beijing, or Hong Kong. It's truly unprecedented.
Okay, so take us through how this is going to play out in the first, at least, calendar quarter of the year, and for the remainder of the year, as some of these bans have essentially gone into effect for the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about airline finances, the effects might not be as great as you would think. The dirty little secret in the airline industry is that U.S. airlines, like a lot of American companies, are not making the money in China that they thought they were going to make. A lot of those routes have been money losers. So it's not the worst thing to not fly there, but long term, the U.S. airlines have to be in China. And, you know, Tim, you know that a lot of U.S. airlines are short airplanes right now domestically. The U.S. domestic market is very, very good. And so I'm expecting to see some of these wide-body planes that we're flying to China to fly within the United States within the next couple of months. So hopefully that means on a financial picture, U.S. airlines won't do that poorly. But long term, this is still not a good thing.
And maybe from a passenger perspective, we're going to have a little more comfort on some of those shorter routes. That certainly would be nice and coach.
Yes, there's always an upside.
Brian,
comfort and flatbed seats.
Yeah, well, not where I sit, Brian. Not where I sit. Brian, I want to get your thoughts on why investors reacted the way they did to this news. Do you think they overreacted with sending shares of some of the big airlines down significantly in the wake of this news, or are there wider implications beyond just the China routes?
Look, you know how investors act. No investor likes uncertainty, and this is just an amazingly uncertain situation here. So a lot of the airlines have said they're going to cancel flights for 1 to 2 months, but nobody has any idea when the China market will come back. It could be 2 months, as the airlines hope, or it could be 6 months, or it could be longer. So just not knowing when it's going to come back, I think makes people uncomfortable, and it should. So that's one issue, and then the other issue is I think right now we see this as an issue with trans-Pacific travel, but people are scared, and if this virus starts being seen more in the United States, people aren't going to want to fly from New York to LA. It's not going to be New York to Shanghai. And if that happens, US airlines are going to be in major trouble.
Right, and people don't want to leave their houses. I mean, we know that at least domestically in China, people are not leaving their houses, but they're being advised not to leave their house. So to your point, that fear, could spread here. If you think about in the past with SARS, this fear of travel will be here, for a while. From your perspective, how long do you think it'll last?
It's hard to know. You have to assume that we would need the virus to be contained first and for people to feel more comfortable about travel. I hope that's going to happen soon, because I would hate to see a world where people are too scared to get on airplanes and too scared to travel. But it seems like we might be going in that direction, and it's sad.
Yeah, and it is, of course, for the aviation industry, tourism. And I'm wondering, what procedures, what measures are these airlines taking to remedy, any kind of this fear, whether it comes to the sanitation of their planes, to the airports themselves? Are you aware of any of these measures that are being taken right now, if we don't know yet exactly how this can be transmitted?
Yeah, Hope. Another one of the dirty secrets of the airline industry is that these airplanes are not cleaned all that well, and they're not cleaned all that often. Domestic flights, the airplanes are not disinfected between flights. Internationally, they are, but they don't do the best job. They're always in a rush. I spoke today with American and United, and they said they're disinfecting as best as they can on the long-haul flights. They're taking that seriously, but they haven't changed the policies on the domestic flights. I actually carry Clorox wipes with me. I have for a long time. People make fun of me, but that's probably the best recommendation that I have to give to people right now. They do work, and flight attendants understand why you're doing it when you bring them out.
Yeah.
Look, if Brian Summers does it, I'm going to do it.
I have a special travel outfit, and I only wear it on the airplane, and it's sequestered and quarantined in my house. It is the thing that I wear when I'm in the air, when I'm traveling. It's washed separately, you know what I mean?
Brian, before we let you go, that was a great tip, by the way. I'm definitely going to be doing that on my next flight. Just give us a brief overview of how the coronavirus has affected other segments of the travel industry. I know your focus is on airlines and aviation, but just take us through how it's hit other elements.
Well, you spoke about cruises. Certainly people are wary about taking cruises right now. Hotels with big exposure in China are in trouble a little bit. It's not good for the entire travel industry. If people are too worried to travel and they don't want to travel, a lot of travel companies are going to lose money in the short term or the long term, and it's something that I'm watching very closely.
All right, Brian Summers, Senior Aviation Business Editor at Skift. It's always great to have you on Cheddar Rides. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.